We are on there.
Woo!
Woo!
Was anyone watching on the first one? One person.
It's tough. It's Sunday afternoon. All right. So here we go again in 3. I'm gonna wait till
You what?
all of a sudden, like, noise just started in the background there.
Where?
On you. All right. Here we go again in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Geekodrome. Oh, you want me to drop the hammer? Geekodrome is the weekly roundtable discussion of all things geek. I am Jon, and the man with the hammer, that's Stugots.
That's what I call my penis. I had to whisper it.
Sometimes you just have to keep your inside voice inside.
I have to whisper it because the children's here.
Don Stugots, corrupting the youth of America, 1 or 2 at a time.
Well, that's usually true, but we have one that's elected to stay here from now on because of the environment that we cultivate here in the Casa de Stugots.
Mazel tov. But you know who's not really creating the best environment right now?
Who?
Hot sauce magnate, Billy Mitchell.
Hot sauce magnate.
Magnate.
Oh.
Magnate is somebody who makes a lot of money doing something.
He makes money off of hot sauce?
He does. Did you not see King of Kong?
No.
Oh, he even featured it. They made sure to feature it in the documentary when he goes into the supermarket and make sure to bring his hot sauce in front of like everybody else's.
Oh boy.
Well, it gets better.
Which hot sauces are his?
In fact, I will let you know right now as I search for the.
I'll make sure I never buy them again.
Billy Mitchell, the man with the.
Even the name sounds douchey.
With the American flag tie.
America.
Ricky's world famous hot sauce.
Oh, I don't know that one.
I don't know that one either.
He's not doing a very good job.
Yeah, it's got 2 stars on Amazon. Yeah, featured in the hit movie King of Kong, A Fistful of Quarters. World famous sauces from the Ricky's restaurants. Something else of interest. Any good reviews on it? People making fun.
So if there are people out there like me who really don't know who this guy is or what he's famous for, why don't you enlighten us, Jon? While you look up his hot sauces.
I'm done looking up his hot sauces. It's not very popular. It's not very good.
He sucks at this business entrepreneurial thing.
He sucks at this video game thing too, apparently. So Billy Mitchell was one of those 80s wonderkins who were well known for being really good at video games. And there's a famous picture in Newsweek from the 1980s, and he's in it because he had the high score in Donkey Kong, maybe 1 or 2 other games. And it was all the high scorers from a tournament and the world champions and whatever. And then in, the mid-2000s, A Fistful of Quarters comes up. And Steve Wiebe is trying to defeat... that just distracted me so bad. Was trying to beat the world Donkey Kong record. Trying to beat the record while facing off against Billy Mitchell, who currently had the record. And it was the race to 1 million points.
The race to 1 million points.
And throughout the documentary, Billy Mitchell's really portrayed as a villain, and Steve Wiebe as our hero.
So it's more like a mockumentary.
No, it's real. It's very much a documentary. It's more of a rock.
It's just posturing, though, and such. Like documentaries are supposed to give you like the true essence of the people. Him acting like a heel. it's somewhat staged then.
I mean, every documentary is, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, but usually the editing that makes it.
But this guy, people who've like met him in person think that's kind of how he is. He is that, heel persona. Very egotistical. But he's, for the red, white, and blue, that's why he wears the tie, because he's all American. And
probably walks around with a baseball cap that says "Make America Great Again."
No, he's way too proud of his hair to wear a hat.
Oh yeah, he's got that big head. Yeah.
Yes, he had the really big head of hair with the mullet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not messing with that hair. So he does not wear a hat. And again, this was, how long ago? As I look quickly just to see what year it was. 2007. Sorry. So 10 years ago. But meanwhile, he was, the Donkey Kong Wonderkind in the 80s. Well, it turns out that, we're now recording this a week late, but it turns out that this week that we're filming, after months of deliberation, it has been found that he was cheating. And he recorded his world record high scores on an emulator and not a real Donkey Kong machine.
Jesus.
So the Twin Galaxies has stripped him of his title, erased all records concerning Billy. There is no more Billy Mitchell on the high score list.
How low of a person do you need to be to cheat at a video game?
Well, it depends. Do cheat codes count?
No, that's a different story.
Oh, okay.
We all use cheat codes, but we're not using cheat codes to get fame and notoriety.
Yeah, he definitely became.
I'll do this in air quotes: fame and notoriety.
Well, it's relative fame. I mean, within the video game aficionados, he was famous.
Yeah. Now he's infamous.
Well, now he's infamous. But I mean, there were a lot of people who were just like, if you read all the message boards or whatever that are dedicated to this stuff, people have been accusing him of this for years. It's nothing new. It's just that suddenly they decided to finally look into it, and they found him to be wanting.
That's crazy.
It is. And I don't believe I've seen any quotes asking Steve Wiebe's opinion on this, which makes me very disappointed. So, how do you feel about Billy Mitchell finally having to?
I mean, he's like a moron. Who does this?
Well, apparently he does. He was that desperate for that to keep that video.
I can't even say. Well, he did this. He got some notoriety, and he took the Ricky's Famous hot sauce brand to another level of the stratosphere as far as sales and marketplace and shelf space. I've never even heard of that, and I'm into hot sauces.
And even worse, I believe it's out of Florida.
Again, and I have a sponsor for the cooking show, Eat Up. That's a hot sauce company. I go to hot sauce festivals. I've never seen his stuff or him.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever heard of his hot sauce outside of the documentary. So,
what did he actually gain from all this then?
Ego.
Jesus. Meanwhile, poor Richard Jenny killed himself thinking he was a failure at life.
Yeah. But, at least Steve Wiebe is now considered the first person to break 1 million points in Donkey Kong.
Wiebe. That's what they're going to call it from now on when you get 1 million points in Donkey Kong. Oh, you pulled a Wiebe.
Yeah, it's not such a bad thing. I mean, he doesn't have the high score anymore. Somebody did beat him.
Wow.
But
he pulled the Wiebe.
He was, Variety interviewed him on Friday.
Jesus.
And he's saying, well, you can read it quick. From Variety on Friday here. The more I thought about it from King of Kong days, it all seemed to make sense now. Wiebe said, all the things that were happening at the time, like why he didn't come out and play me, and why he was inciting whose records were going to be authenticated and whose were going to be dropped. King of Kong referenced that he was a referee and on the board of directors. When that leaked out, it started to make more sense. So basically,
Hey, my record will stand, even though it can't be verified for sure if I cheated or not. But everyone else's records, who can be verified that they didn't cheat in any way, we're not going to recognize them.
Yeah. And just to say, I'm not champ anymore, but getting recognition for being the first to a million is a great consolation, Weeby said. That's what I was really bummed about 11 years ago.
And now I just don't think about it because I have a life.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's a school teacher, and he's been in a few other movies as like in bit parts.
So he's parlayed it a little bit.
I think it's the same. It's the director of the documentary just kind of threw Weeby some like bit parts in the backs of.
That's cool.
I think
he's done more with it than Mitchell had.
I think he really wasn't looking to do anything. I think it was just, here's the documentary, I did it, and now I'm going back to my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Weeby competes anymore in video games or anything. To be honest, he wasn't somebody who kept trying to push it the way that Billy did.
So then who is the first person to score 1 million points in Donkey Kong Jr.?
That I don't know. That we would have to look at the Twin Galaxies website. And if anyone even has. We don't know that somebody has.
I'm sure someone has. I used to like Donkey Kong Jr. climb up the vines. And Mario was the heel in that one. And Donkey Kong was the face.
Yeah. It was all right.
It was just an interesting twist.
Let's see. Somebody claims to have gotten 1,230,000 in March 2010, named George Riley.
Stephanie Riley.
No, this is a George.
Riley Luck.
He seems to have the luck of the Irish. Yeah, that's true. But I'm not seeing. There's 8 people who've beaten 1 million points in Donkey Kong Jr. I don't see it saying who was the first to break 1 million, though.
The Weebies.
Yeah, because there was no documentary, it really wasn't as contentious. Plus, it's not one of the major games, like Donkey Kong, Pac-Man.
Oh, definitely.
Centipede, Galaga, like the ones that were that first wave of video games.
Defenders, Missile Command, Space Invaders.
Yeah, exactly. All of those are considered, the majors, and it's just like, okay, they don't really look at.
It was popular enough to have a cartoon.
Well, I think that's more like it was yeah, I guess. Because I was thinking maybe it's because Donkey Kong, because they were already doing a Mario cartoon and everything else by then.
Yeah, it was like a block. And one of the cartoons was Mario, where he's chasing Donkey Kong to get the princess to save her. And then at the same time, the Donkey Kong Jr. cartoon, he's chasing Mario to save Donkey Kong.
That's right. At
the same time, so like in continuity aspects, you're like, oh, at some point, Mario catches Donkey Kong.
Yeah. I'd completely forgotten about that cartoon. Yeah.
He was there with some kid, and they were on a motorcycle.
They always have to work in the, random kid in there.
Yeah.
But
I say kid, he was he was an adult. He had a motorcycle.
Yeah, and it was hosted by Captain Lou Albano as Mario.
Yes.
I don't remember who played Luigi in the live action.
He's a famous actor. The dude who played Luigi. He's a character actor. He was in a bunch of stuff. I want to say he may have been in Second City TV as well. Oh man, I'm never gonna remember his name, but he wasn't a nobody. He was somebody for sure.
No, I know that. I'm just looking quickly. Mario was Captain Lou Albano. Luigi was Danny Wells.
Yes, famous Danny Wells.
Who could forget Danny Wells?
It's so many iconic roles over the years.
I mean, he was in Magnolia.
Yep.
He was in the Super Mario Brothers Super Show. Yeah, I'm kind of looking down his IMDb, and it's not helping. I don't remember most of this stuff. Potatoes and Dragons. I have no clue what that is.
Was he on Second City TV, or am I thinking of someone else?
I think you're thinking of somebody else.
Okay.
Yeah, no SCTV here.
Okay.
Although that is getting a documentary. It was announced this week.
Okay.
Oh shoot. I have to look because it's Scorsese. That's it. Scorsese is doing the documentary.
No way. That's really cool.
Yeah. So, and it's going to have all of the original cast as well as
except for John Candy.
Huh?
Except for John Candy.
Okay, all of the original living cast. Oh. And then I think they'll have reenactments by like younger actors. But they're saying that they have like, Eugene Flaherty, Martin Short, Catherine O'Hara, all the names from the show will be back in some form or another to be part of it.
Excellent. I look forward to that.
Yeah. So I was a big fan of the show back in the day.
So Rick Moranis will be on it?
I don't think it's said.
Because he had that sketch on there with the other dude. They were into beer and everything. Yeah.
Well, my favorite thing, the origin of that sketch, right?
No.
All right. So because they were Canadian.
It's harder on the sketch we're talking about because they might not know.
Oh, it's the Great White North.
Right.
So it was these two very Canadian fellas who, did a Canadian talk show, and it was like over the top Canadian. And the reason they had the show is because in Canada, there's a law that says you have to have X amount of Canadian, content in your programming. So SCTV was told you have to include Canadian content. And they went, okay, what is the most over the top, in your face Canadian, FU we can do to them? So they created the Mackenzie brothers.
Oh, nice.
Bob and Doug
Mackenzie. But then they ended up having a movie.
They did, they became widely popular. Yeah. Like they were very funny, very popular. And yes, they got into a movie. They had a comedy album that had Geddy Lee from Rush on it. I don't know how well the song charted in Canada, but the song "Take Off" was actually like a hit.
Nice.
And that's the one that with Geddy Lee doing vocals on it. Yeah, I don't know if he's coming back because the photo with Scorsese, it's Andrea Martin, Eugene Levy, Catherine O'Hara, Dave Thomas, Martin Short, and Joe Flaherty. And yeah, Moranis was on it and part of it, but he's given up acting.
Yeah, he's
but
retired.
Maybe he'll come back. Yeah, he's retired from acting, but because it's not acting, it's a documentary.
Yeah, he should do. I mean, that's what made him famous. I would love if he came back and added something to it.
Oh, okay.
They can film it at his house. They don't have to. He doesn't have to leave his house.
Okay, so he is listed in the article as being part of it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So I guess there's going to be an interview portion filmed live May 13th to be part of the documentary, and he's scheduled to be part of that.
Oh, cool.
So
excellent.
Yeah, Joe Flaherty, Eugene Levy, Andrea Martin, Catherine O'Hara, Martin Short, and Dave Thomas will be in front of the audience.
Very cool.
And since this is going to be on Netflix, we're going to definitely talk about it.
Definitely.
When it comes out, because we're both big fans.
Yes.
Of just all the individual comedians and the show itself.
Yeah, and all the famous people that came out of that, like Dan Aykroyd and John Belushi, Jim Belushi. They wouldn't have made it onto Saturday Night Live without starting there.
Oh yeah, I mean, essentially the first season of Saturday Night Live was Second City.
Yeah, everyone who's on there was a cast member at some point. It's just once SCTV went on TV, that's when the other cast members came in.
Yeah, so it kind of just worked out that way. Like SNL started, SCTV said, "Hey," or Second City said, "Hey, we can do that." And started SCTV.
And we've been doing it. Let's just get cameras out here.
Exactly. And a little more structure. And then you have, what was it, Count Blah? You had, what was the Martin Short character?
Ed Grimley.
Ed Grimley, I must say.
That ended up doing on Saturday Night Live.
Ended up doing, and had its own cartoon show.
Yeah.
So, it's quite good, I must say.
I must say.
So
I want to ask you a question.
Oh, you have a question for me?
we were watching The Force Awakens last night, and the kids were asking like who Snoke was, and I said to them, we don't know. We'll find out eventually. Might be a long time. And then I told them how we didn't know who the Emperor really was from the original Star Wars trilogy until the next trilogy came out. So that prompted the question from them of, are there any other questions from the original trilogy that we still don't know? I mean, obviously the Han Solo stuff, which hopefully we'll get some light on in the movie, but are there things that you still feel as a Star Wars fan we don't know from that original trilogy that we should know by now, if it mattered?
I was gonna say, part of me doesn't want to know. Sometimes it's just nice to be able to imagine what it was.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I still don't know what the Kessel Run is. I know it's going to be in the movie, and I'm going to find out next month. And once it's on film, it's quote unquote canon.
Right.
I don't know how Han met Chewbacca. I know
to find out.
I know it's been implied in places that Chewie was a slave to the Empire. Han saved him. There's a life debt, and so Chewie travels with Han. We found out why Ben Kenobi was living in the desert. Rogue One, we learned the story of Princess Leia being on the ship. Right. Before, at the beginning of the movie, let's see, Boba Fett, we learned his origins in Attack of the Clones.
And we all, we always say like, we should find out like why Boba Fett just really hated Han Solo. He didn't. We don't know if he did. It was just a job. He was a bounty hunter. There was a bounty on the guy. He collected it.
Yeah, but it's been implied that they had a relationship outside.
Right. It's been implied by fans, though.
But it's kind of fuel on the fire that they added him to Jabba's palace not Jabba's palace. They added the Jabba the Hutt scene into the special editions of A New Hope, and Boba Fett walks through with Jabba, and it wasn't a great scene to begin with, but whatever.
When it was the original Jabba, when Jabba was a man.
Well, remember they added the special effects for that.
Yeah.
For the re-release. Boba Fett. Yeah, I don't know if there's a lot of questions. Like a lot of it has just become like lore, and we're fine with that. Trying to think what else. It's a good question. I mean, by the third movie, we learned way too much. I mean, because they built everything was built off the previous ones.
Yeah.
Empire.
And then now for this trilogy, Rey's parents, we probably won't ever find out because it doesn't matter. They've established it doesn't matter who her parents are.
Exactly. Although now that there's a rumor that JJ was originally thinking it was somebody connected to the trilogy.
Yeah.
But who knows if he'll overturn it in the next movie. And
then like obviously we'll have to find out one day who Snoke is, but I'm in no rush to find out who he is. There could be mystery. There could be, it might be something they never get to because they have so many other stories to tell.
Took us 20 years to find out who the Emperor was.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think once they finish this trilogy, they're not coming back to it.
Okay.
So then again, I mean, there's been books on Palpatine and whatever.
So when they finish this trilogy, they won't go back to Rey, Finn, and Poe.
Allegedly. I mean, that could change. But they're saying it's the end of the Skywalker story.
Right.
Because these 9 movies have all been, Skywalker.
Yeah.
Although, there's barely a Skywalker left at this point.
Yeah, they're all dead.
Well, in film, Leia is still alive.
Yeah, I saw this past week that Glenn Close might play Princess Leia in the next film.
I saw that.
I'm not
a fan of it.
No,
I'm not a fan of it. So we'll see what happens. But I almost feel like they should have just let her die.
And that
in the cold.
One scene where she's floating out in space.
Yeah. So I shouldn't say I rewatched it. I had work to do, and I put the movie on in the background, and that scene still bothers me.
Yeah, it
'Cause
was a very badly done scene.
I'm just not. It's like I had just seen another movie the month before where a character screams, "I'm Mary Poppins, y'all,"
Yeah,
and then I'm watching her do her Mary Poppins impression, and I think Yondu did it better.
much better.
Yeah, it's just that scene, the way it works out, just bothers me.
They
It's
could
like,
have just left her floating, and that's how she would have
yeah, everybody else is
died.
blown
That
up.
would have been fine.
Everybody's
Mhm.
blown up and thrown out into space, and she magically wakes up after almost freezing to death. You know that. Not a fan.
No,
And poor Admiral Akbar. She couldn't save him on the way back.
bitch.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things that were bothersome of that movie kind of worked better watching the second time. But, and with a little time to think about them.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's just that one scene still bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's unfortunate, but what are you going to do? But other than that, we know Han was doing a run for Jabba and dumped the cargo.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what the cargo is. We may or may not see that next month.
Might not be. It might not even be something that matters.
It's not. It really isn't. It's just backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, were you able to think of any other major?
No, I mean, because between Rogue One and the Solo film, we'll have all the answers that we could possibly want.
Yeah. It's like, why was there a hole in the Death Star? Because he put it there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it's like all of these. Your cough is contagious.
Sorry.
All of these things pretty much been answered at this point. Yeah. How did Han survive the carbonite freezing process?
Science.
Science! So, I guess all of our Star Wars questions have been answered. We can go back to reading the novels, the comic books, watching the movies, watching the cartoons, playing with the toys, swooshing the ships in the air, building Legos, and playing with our toy lightsabers. So yeah, Star Wars is still a merchandising juggernaut, no matter what we do.
Oh hell yeah!
The Solo toys just came out this week, so I don't think they're selling that well.
I don't
Maybe
think
the
they
Millennium
will.
Falcon. Maybe the Millennium Falcons will, but it's the Falcon. Beyond
Which
that,
would you rather have, the Millennium Falcon or the Slave One? Like, if for real, I don't mean the toy.
I know what you meant. It's a tough choice. I mean, I'd almost go with the Falcon. I like that big freighter action. But then again, I'd also love to fly an X-Wing and everything else.
I would have went with the Slave One.
Well, you do have a compartment to hold, carbonite if you need that. So that's important. You do. But you don't have those cool hiding spots in the floors and stuff like that.
No, but you could hide in space with the trash, so nobody will bother you.
Yeah, just magnetize yourself to the. But wait, the Falcon did that also.
Yeah. Well, no. Slave One went out with the trash. The Falcon was connected.
Yes, and then flew out with the trash to go out undetected.
And then Slave One followed him because he was already out there with the trash.
Yes, and he eyeballed him instead of trying to pick him up on radar. Mm-hmm. So, I don't know. I'd want to fly an X-Wing. I'd want to fly Slave One. I want to fly the Millennium Falcon. I do have a buddy who works for Disney, and I can't say too much, but he's just seen the Star Wars stuff and says it's amazing.
Okay, cool.
I think I can.
I would love to. I'd love to have been on set for one of these things and be able to sit in the cockpit.
I was trying to arrange that and I didn't get it done.
Oh, you're trying to arrange that for me? Thank you.
Yeah,
that's so thoughtful.
Yeah. Again, I can't say things, but I know somebody who was a relative of a relative kind of thing, and was working on a Star Wars film. And I was just like, oh, if you can get me out there, I'll buy a ticket right now and head out. And nothing ever came of it.
Jerk.
Yeah. And I don't want to give too many details about that because it's not my place to call out other people on things like that. But I would love to. Who wouldn't want to sit in the cockpit and say, punch it, Chewie?
I would have been sitting at the little poker table.
Oh, that would have been awesome too.
Yeah.
So Brad Meltzer was a host.
Brad Meltzer. Oh no, that's Dave Meltzer. Sorry.
Yeah, no. This is Brad, the New York Times bestselling author.
Oh, he's a good Meltzer.
Yeah. He was on Kevin Smith's Fat Man on Batman recently.
Yeah.
And he was like, they were talking about like the things that have afforded them, the popularity of their writings and whatever. And both have visited Star Wars sets. And Brad went with his family while they were filming, I want to say it was episode 8. And they got toured around, and they were given like disposable digital cameras while they were walking around, him and his sons, so that they could take all the pictures they wanted. And then the pictures would be sent to them once the movie came out. Because, this is all sensitive stuff. You can't show anything. But they know that everybody wants to take pictures, of them in the Millennium Falcon and them in the cockpit and everything else. So the way Lucasfilm figured out a way to do this is fine. We're going to give you the camera. You can take all the pictures you want with our cameras. And then, after the movie is out, or sometime after the movie's been released, we'll send you the pictures and, you'll have your mementos then. And I thought that was so cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's like, as Brad said, like everybody wants their picture taken in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
So they realized that. Because Kevin had gone when they started filming episode 7 because he knew JJ and didn't get to do all the picture stuff, but it was really cool. And to have that experience was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So I was a little jealous of that. Oh well.
C'est la vie.
Yeah.
As they say in French.
C'est la vie. So we should all just, board our respective spaceships in a Ready One style and fly out to the hot picks.
Yes. So for a hot pick this week, I have to reaffirm
his coughing.
Sorry. How good of a film Spider-Man Homecoming is.
Damn good film.
I feel like everything that's come after Age of Ultron from Marvel has gotten better. And the perfect evidence of that, obviously, you could say Civil War, but definitely Spider-Man Homecoming. It has everything that the films should have had, all the Spider-Man films should have had and never had. It had that real man on the street. It didn't have that over-the-top gloom and doom. It was very much a realistic superhero film.
As realistic as they get, anyway.
As they could get, yeah. But it was like the fate of the world is in their hands. No, just some dude stealing stuff, trying to make money, and some other dude just trying to stop him.
So that's always been my complaint about the Spider-Man movies. Spider-Man is a street-level hero.
Right.
Like, admittedly, he takes all of Manhattan, basically, all of New York City, and covers it. But his criminals tend to be street-level guys.
Right.
Who are just, bigger than life. As opposed to, like, Daredevil, who covers 4 square blocks and is gritty and urban and, whatever. Spider-Man just fights and tries to protect the streets of New York. And they tried to make him very global. And it's just like, I'm going to turn the whole world into a bunch of lizards. Starting with New York. It's like, that's not what Spider-Man does.
No.
And so to see them take it to that level was great. How the villain turns out to be his prom date's father.
Yeah.
It's just hilarious. And just the interplay in that scene alone, it's like, it's acting. It's just, you watch Michael Keaton during the conversation, and just the facial expressions he makes are so subtle, but it's just suddenly like,
but so evil at the same time.
well, but it starts out very general, and it's just like, oh, you better not, touch my daughter. To you touch my daughter, I'm going to kill you, because I know who you are, and I know what's going to happen.
I could probably kill you anyway.
And I'll probably kill you if you get in my way. And it's just, but it's done so subtly. It's just character work, and you see what makes Michael Keaton such a good actor.
Yeah.
And I love that movie has like little moments like that, in ways that like the other Spider-Man movies, like, oh, I have to invite Willem Dafoe over for dinner, and admittedly, Willem Dafoe is a great fucking actor.
Yes.
So it's like, all right, he has the moment in the bedroom with the blood, and it's just, again, subtle. He just looks down and sees the drop of blood, looks up, and Spider-Man's not there anymore. But again, it's just, I mean, when they put these great actors in, they can be so subtle and give so much information.
Yep.
Yeah, so since Ultron, just a quick rundown. We had Age of Ultron in 2015, followed by Ant-Man.
Right, followed by Ant-Man. Great movie.
It's a fun movie. I don't know if it's great, but it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun.
It's a good heist movie. Michael Pena is great in that movie.
The whole cast, they all nail it. Which I think we just talked about a week or two ago.
We talked about, somewhat recently. Then Captain America Civil War the following year, which is the sort of, we're sorry about Ultron, here's something to make up for it. Followed by Doctor Strange. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is okay. But it's
I loved it.
I have to rewatch it. Captain America, Spider-Man Homecoming, which was just great. Thor Ragnarok, which is so much fun. Could be a little more effusive in the emotional department, but it's a lot of fun. Followed by Black Panther, which was just amazing.
Yes. And
then we're just weeks away from Avengers Infinity War.
Infinity War.
And this is actually something I wanted to bring up as we're pre-recording this. Any final predictions for Infinity War?
Stan Lee dies.
No!
Yes, that's my prediction. Stan Lee's cameo character, his cameo self, dies.
I hope not, but we'll see. I have a prediction, though.
Go ahead.
Because for the last month or so, there's been commercials for Avengers. And from the first time they started showing the commercials, there's one line that sticks out in my head, that stuck out in my head, and every time I hear the commercial, it's what I think of. And I'm not going to get it exactly right, but I believe it's something like the Infinity Gauntlet would allow Thanos to wipe out half the universe with a snap of his fingers.
Right.
This movie is going to end.
Yes.
With
That'd
a
be
snap
the final
of his
scene.
fingers.
Yes.
That's the final scene. Thanos snaps his fingers.
Yes.
That's my prediction.
I agree. That would be some good storytelling. I think you don't know what happens for another year.
Yeah. Well, we will have after that Ant-Man and Wasp. And then I think Captain Marvel comes. Yeah, Captain Marvel comes first in the February-March. Then we have the next Avengers movie. And then the first movie in Phase 4, Spider-Man Homecoming sequel. So that's the one that's supposed to kick off everything of the next phase. And really, almost next generation.
Yeah.
All the original actors are kind of done after Avengers.
And then it's all new.
Yeah, Robert Downey Jr. is pretty much done. Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, all the early guys are done.
I think at that point, well, we could do predictions for when we get to that point about who we think will take over the roles and whatnot.
I think that's a discussion to see what happens after Infinity War.
Yes, definitely.
But that will be our next episode when I get back from my whirlwind trip of Europe.
Yes.
Yes. Which I will be on while you are listening to this, unless you're listening live. So you can think of me while
nobody's listening live.
Yeah, it's one of those things. We're not making a big deal out of this as we do normally when we record live.
Yeah.
But because we're marathoning a bunch of episodes and we didn't know if people wanted to stick around for it. So we'll see what happens when we review it. When I come back, I come back that Saturday and go see the movie Sunday to talk about it Monday night.
Yeah.
So I'm so psyched for this movie.
Me too.
I'm glad. I almost planned my return just to see this movie because it was pushed back a week. Pushed forward a week. But my hot pick is a little something I was watching on the Netflix called A Series of Unfortunate Events.
Oh.
The second series or season of which recently came to Netflix. And it's the story of the Baudelaire children whose parents are murdered. And the evil Count Olaf wants to steal their family fortune. So is, trying to get the children's. And yes, it's based on a bunch of children's books. But Neil Patrick Harris is a scenery-chewing bad guy. What's his name who played Putty from Seinfeld? Patrick Warburton.
I just know him as Putty.
Yeah, Patrick Warburton
Yes.
plays Lemony Snicket, who's the quote-unquote author. The real author wrote it under a pseudonym. And then there are these other actors who are playing lots of famous actors who are playing either the adoptive parents of the orphans who seem to get murdered or something every book, and each book is 2 episodes of the show, or they're part of the secret organization that the parents belong to who are trying to save the children. So it's just very entertaining. It's a lot of fun. It's very light entertainment because obviously it's aimed at children. But it's one of those things where you watch it and you can just tell everybody's having fun making it.
It looks fun.
Meanwhile, while Warburton or Lemony Snicket comes on and says how awful everything is and how disappointing, and just look away. Don't watch this show. We totally understand. It's not for the faint of heart. And so it loves that dichotomy of being entertaining while saying it's not. So it's just a fun show. And that's my hot pick for this week.
Cool.
But if you, Stugots,
Me?
you want to check out more Geekodrome while I'm away, check us out at geekodrome.co. You can subscribe on iTunes and Google Play, and then we'll come straight to your ears every week. At no cost to you, the listener.
For free!
What a bargain.
Yes, you're getting your money's worth for sure.
You want to give us some feedback? Hit us back at the Twitters. We're at Geekodrome Pod. Or, if you prefer Facebook and, that Mark Zuckerberg monstrosity, we're at Geekodrome Podcast. Want to hit me up directly? I'm at Just John on the Twitters. And Stugots over there, he's at the Don Stugots.
That's me. Since 2008.
And the Eat Up Show should be coming back with its first episode this week.
That's right.
This very week. So you can catch Stugots cooking up the goodness. I'm not going to ask because it's 2 weeks out what he's going to be cooking, but you can catch everything he cooks, all his day drinking, all the goodness. His kitchen hacks as well.
Yes.
Never forget the kitchen
Don't
hacks.
forget the kitchen
Make you a better cook. You want to impress the ladies? You want to learn the kitchen hacks. Ladies,
better living through the Stugots way.
Ladies, you want to cook better for the men's? You need the kitchen hacks.
Yes.
We're equal opportunity. Everybody needs kitchen hacks.
That's right.
So, until next week, and I return from the Europa, it has been a chew.